Shigeru is an ugly guy, so hideous that even demons mock him. His appearance cost him both his job and will to live. After being falsely accused by a girl of harassment but when given a chance to reincarnate in another world, he sacrificed his looks and ability to touch girls in exchange for absolute power, turning him into a god. Shigeru's ugly, but he's tough. He's just an ordinary office worker who never let his looks hold him back. From living right to enjoying life, he treated everyone kindly and had a humble social life. But everything changed when a woman falsely accused him of groping her on the train. No one believed him just because he was ugly, and the case quickly went to court. Shigeru pled guilty to pay a light fine, to end things quickly, but the plan backfired. He got fired and branded a pervert. Years later, that woman was arrested for fraud. She didn't do it for money but deliberately framed guys she thought were ugly. Shigeru was furious but couldn't do anything due to trauma from the incident. He lost all confidence, couldn't find work, and everything got worse over time. Shigeru became a total shut-in, wasting his savings and even his parents' money until one day he read an article about many people disappearing in the area. He wished he could disappear too when he saw the comments below. He saw a guy claiming to have been to another world. That guy said he messed up his initial stat points and had to sacrifice half his life to return to Earth. Shigeru sneered, but desperate decided to follow the guy's instructions anyway. He faced the window, raised both hands, and when the clock struck 2 a.m., his laptop screen automatically changed pages asking if he wanted to start a new life. Shigeru thought it was a virus, but still dared to click next. The next page said he'd be a 16-year-old kid in the new world, and could customize stat points. Since he'd been ugly, his whole life Shigeru lowered his appearance value from 5 down to -255, and received a massive bonus point pool. Moreover, Shigeru found that the more negative traits he chose, the more bonus points he got. He started typing things nobody wanted, like reducing income by 10% and losing 10% HP every time he touched a girl. The final condition he put was that if he lost his virginity he'd die, and the system gave him 100 trillion bonus points in return, but before he could allocate them the countdown clock hit 0 and he was sent to another world. When he woke up, he found himself even uglier than before. Not only that, his body weighed twice as much as a pig. Just then, a few others appeared, and Shigeru blushed, seeing 2 girls in lingerie. A handsome guy took off his shirt to give to a girl shivering from the cold. Shigeru tried to be decent and took off his shirt too, but the girl refused, not wanting to wear clothes from a fat ugly guy. The handsome guy introduced himself as Seiji. The blonde girl didn't say her name, and the second girl introduced herself as Seika. They were all 16 years old. They couldn't believe Shigeru was their age. Seiji took the lead, saying the group all came to this world the same way. While they talked, Shigeru decided to explore the room, because he wasn't here to make friends. He opened a drawer and saw 1 gold coin, but it vanished when touched. He realized it was because he chose the income reduction condition. Money disappeared on its own. But he decided not to worry. Just then, Seiji came in and told Shigeru they should search for resources together. They quickly found a pile of weapons, clothes and some coins. Shigeru thought the clothes looked small and probably wouldn't fit him, but they turned out to be magical and adjusted automatically to the wearer's body. Then the girls decided to split the money, but realized there were only 7 coins for 8 people. They believed Shigeru took the 8th coin and he knew they were right. He decided to let them keep all the money even though Seiji said it wasn't fair. Seika insisted they should keep it since Shigeru didn't help with the search at all. Shigeru hated that arrogant girl from the start but decided to ignore her and ask Seiji if he could trade his axe for money. Seika opposed immediately, and even if Seiji said they couldn't make decisions like that on their own. Seiji revealed he used to be selfish and socially awkward in his old life, and was trying to change now. He also pointed out that Shigeru seemed to have some personal issues too, and should try to overcome them. In the end, they decided to split the weapons by playing rock paper scissors. Shigeru lost to everyone and only received a wooden stick. Then Seiji said they should hold hands to mark the start, the beginning of their adventure, but Shigeru refused because this time he wouldn't be reckless. Soon after, they found a map and decided to head to the nearest town, but as soon as they opened the door, they found a small goblin waiting to attack. Seiji reacted super fast and took down the goblin with 1 hit, but then he realized there were many more. Approaching him, the blonde girl was told to support him on the front lines. Meanwhile, Seika drew her bow to join the fight, and Seiji asked Shigeru to protect Seika for a bit before taking down the goblins one by one. However, Seika was a total noob. She couldn't even properly draw her bowstring. And while Shigeru was judging her, a goblin attacked him from behind. He planned to kill it in 1 hit, but realized he was pitifully weak at that moment. The small goblin easily pushed him back. Shigeru wondered why he was so weak despite having 100 trillion stat points. Then he realized he hadn't distributed those points yet. Before being teleported away, he decided to fight the goblin with his current stats. Finally, he defeated it with the next hit. Suddenly, a status window popped up, showing he leveled up to 32 just by killing one goblin thanks to a 10% XP boost. At that moment, Sergi and the blonde girl also leveled up, allocating points into strength and stamina. Shigeru realized they couldn't see each other's system windows, so he decided to temporarily assign 1000 billion points to each attribute. Just after doing this, the system window glitched and a golden light engulfed him. Shigeru was confused about what was happening when the system announced that his class had been decided. Based on his stats, his class was Almighty God, and Shigeru couldn't understand what that meant. He was snapped out of his thoughts when a goblin attacked him, but its strike did no damage at all. Shigeru decided to test his power on the goblin, flicking it lightly with his finger. The flick was strong enough to blow it away. Nobody else saw what happened. They just thought a strong wind blew through. Sergi and the blonde girl continued hunting goblins, but Seika was still struggling, unable to use her bow. She was tearing up, and Shigeru decided to show some mercy by pretending to be a bow fanatic, saying he needed to draw his bow immediately so Seika wouldn't feel embarrassed accepting his help. That trick worked on the scatterbrained girl. She handed the bow to Shigeru, who only needed one smooth stroke to skillfully draw the bowstring thanks to his 1000 billion points. Seika was impressed and insisted he shoot an arrow to thank her. Shigeru decided to try a skill he got. He chose the arrow judgment skill and shot an arrow forward, but instead of hitting a goblin, the arrow flew straight up into the sky. Shigeru wondered, could his aim really be that bad? Then suddenly, a giant magic circle appeared in the sky, and a majestic lightning dragon descended, smashing the ground and wiping out all the goblins. Everyone stood in shock watching this, while Shigeru said he used to be in an archery club where they taught stuff like this. Seika believed him again, and decided to keep supporting her friends in the battle, though she just shot arrows randomly without aiming. Sergi and the blonde girl decided to finish off the goblins themselves, while Seika quickly ran out of arrows and started sulking, lamenting her uselessness. Shigeru had to comfort her, then used a skill to turn a stick into arrows and told her that some items had just dropped from the sky. Seika happily picked them up, but then wasted all the arrows again. Meanwhile, the other two finished off the goblins. Not long after the group arrived at the town, and everyone quickly went to eat, Shigeru decided to split from the group because he thought a useless loser like himself should be alone. He sat near the fountain and realized he was hungry. Just then a cat approached. He wanted to pet it but stopped, fearing if it was female he'd lose 10% HP by touching it. Right then, Seika appeared, startling Shigeru and making him fall into the water. After climbing out, Seika said she bought a burger for him because she knew he had no money and wanted to thank him for helping her before. Shigeru started to look at her more kindly and took the huge burger, but by chance, their fingers touched, triggering a massive electric shock that made him drop the burger, taking 58 billion damage. Enough to destroy the world 300 times over, but the bigger problem was Seika feeling sad because she thought Shigeru had thrown the burger away without noticing. However, Shigeru still had skills from his all-powerful sales days. He told Seika he was startled because she was too beautiful, and promised he'd eat the burger she bought for him, but she said it was dirty and handed him the burger she was going to eat because she was truly grateful to him. He decided to accept her kindness. While he ate the burger, Seiji and the blonde girl found them. Shigeru decided to stay until he could pay Seika back for the burger. Not long after, Seika went back to the shop to buy more arrows because she had shot so fast. She begged the owner to sell more, saying she would pay for everything. The owner said her bag was already full. Shigeru went with her, then wanting to help, but he couldn't admit that he could create arrows any time he wanted. Seika asked if he wasn't planning to buy anything. He immediately answered that he definitely couldn't buy anything because he was out of money. As they stepped outside, Seiji and the blonde girl returned after finding a good inn to stay overnight. Shigeru said he'd sleep in the park because obviously he had no money, but Seika said she would pay for his room. Shigeru tried to say it wasn't necessary, but Seika said she had plenty of money and then asked, "Don't you want a girl to pay for you?" Shigeru didn't even get to answer before Seika grabbed his hand and pulled him along, but since she touched him over his clothes, he didn't lose any blood that night. Shigeru thought he couldn't stay any longer, or he'd owe Seika and the others even more. The next morning, Sergi and the others woke up to find a pile of cookies and delicious food waiting on the table. Shigeru told them to help eat it because he couldn't finish it alone. They asked how he got the place without a single penny. Shigeru answered that he used a technique that made others want to give him things in return. Actually, he just created a few arrows from branches and traded them for food using his BA system instead of money. Seika told him he didn't need to beg for food just because he was out of money, since she could always help him. But Shigeru thought he'd already paid her back enough, so he didn't need to cling to her anymore. After eating, Seiji took out the map and said they needed to start taking quests to earn money. He realized the monsters they killed yesterday didn't drop any coins or items, so he planned to check out a nearby cave. Shigeru was impressed with Sergi's planning skills when suddenly a rough-looking man appeared, saying he could guide them to the cave. The guy introduced himself as Kaioshiro and said he was also reincarnated like them. He freaked out when he saw Shigeru's devilish face calling him grandpa, but quickly got back on topic and asked if they were the new people here. Sergi stood up immediately to talk but stayed cautious. Kaioshiro pulled out a few green cards from his jacket saying these were items they could find at the first wooden house, and that they could use them for a full discount at the end one time. Seika panicked hearing this because they hadn't picked up any such cards, and Kaioshiro told her she could still get a refund if she handed over the cards now. He told her to take them. Seika immediately grabbed the cards, which shocked Seiji because he still didn't fully trust Kaioshiro. Shigeru felt the same. He thought this guy wasn't trustworthy. Kaioshiro was the type who exploited newbies, but Shigeru believed if things got bad he could still handle it. For now he let Seiji make the decision. Sergi weighed the pros and cons, and finally decided to hire Kaioshiro as their guide since they needed information and a fast way to level up. So Kaioshiro led the group to the cave. Soon after, a bunch of goblins appeared. Seika immediately shot arrows at them, but none hit. Shigeru was frustrated, and Kaioshiro told Seika to imagine each arrow costing 1,000,000 yen before shooting. Proud of his wealth, but imagining such a high cost, Seika became more careful in aiming and finally took down a goblin with a precise shot. They kept moving deeper, and Shigeru was surprised to see Kaioshiro actually doing a great job as a guide. Then Kaioshiro showed everyone how to properly use their weapons, but Seika relapsed into her bad habit of shooting arrows wildly. Kaioshiro asked Shigeru why he wasn't training in SAO, and he replied that he currently didn't have the right skills. Kaioshiro understood that leveling up with a staff was pretty tough, but he told him, Shigeru, not to get discouraged because the ultimate staff skill is seriously OP. Shigeru already knew that since when he went into the forest hunting, he encountered a giant hawk and planned to use his strongest skill to fight it. However, the system warned him that if he used that skill, everything within a 200 kilometers radius would be wiped out, and over 1.5 million people would die, so he immediately cancelled the plan. Still, Kaioshiro told him to be more aggressive in battle. If he didn't want to retire like him, then he started telling a story that he used to be part of a mercenary group, but while their leader became a king, he was rejected and forced to quit. He began praising that king, saying he reached level 80 and all stats above 160, but to Shigeru, that level was insanely weak. Finally, they arrived at a cave, looking like ancient ruins, and everyone was excited to explore. Only JK was scared. But once she got close to the cave, she got curious about the limestone stalactites, and started sulking when Kaioshiro told her to stay away because they were dangerous. Shigeru started wondering if that chick was just immature or what. Meanwhile, Seiji asked her more tactfully, revealing he was 30 years old in his previous world. Seika said she was 17 inches the real world and was preparing for college. When Sergi started asking about her studies, Shigeru suddenly realized that at least Seika had some brains. Then they fought a few monster bats and moved on to the boss room. Finally, Seika learned the lesson to think before acting. Kaioshiro told her not to enter the boss room, because with her noob skills, she'd die instantly. That made Seika step back. Sergi decided to end today's adventure here and thanked Kaioshiro for his help. Kaioshiro replied that Sergi would become a good leader. But before they parted, Kaioshiro said he had a special event for newbies and led the group into a conference room to hold a celebration party. He said another summoner created this safe space, where no monsters or magic could enter, and inside there were snacks and drinks. Shigeru immediately used his toxin detection skill, and found the sodacan rim was laced with sleeping poison. Luckily, Seiji cautiously declined the offer, but when Kaioshiro showed sadness and disappointment, Seiji quickly apologized for doubting his kindness and agreed to celebrate with him. Shigeru silently frowned because Seiji was way too kind in SAO. Everyone started eating and drinking while Shigeru decided to distract them by chatting. To get a chance to cast an antidote spell on them, he asked what everyone did before coming to this world, and the atmosphere immediately dropped. Shigeru realized right away that all of them, including himself, were people who had escaped from their past lives. But then Seiji decided to share a bit of his past. He said he dropped out of school because he was fed up with everything and decided to start his own company, called Success Life. Shigeru recalled going to that company to pitch a deal, and the CEO at the time looked a lot like Sergi. It turned out Sergi also remembered him because he had a big impact on him. Though he didn't reveal his name, Sergi said a salesperson came unannounced, trying to sell him an expensive photocopier. When he haggled, the salesperson said it would make him smile and never disappoint him. That person also said he should relax since he was a CEO. Inspired by those words, Sergi left his employees to run the company. Luckily, the company grew strong and everything went smoothly, but then he decided to replace staff with AI, which caused the company to go bankrupt. He fell into depression, feeling like he wasted the opportunity the salesperson gave him. That's why when he came to this world, But then he decided to replace the staff with AI, and that caused the company to go bankrupt, sending him into depression, feeling like he had wasted the chance that the salesman Kia gave him. That's why when he came to this world, he swore he'd never let AI down again. Then suddenly, he revealed that the salesman's name was also Shigeru, but our chubby guy pretended he wasn't that person. Right after everyone passed out from the drug's effect, and Kaioshiro led his thugs to capture them. However, Shigeru just pretended to sleep, waiting for the right moment to deal with the thugs. Those guys started handcuffing everyone, and just as Shigeru was about to act, Seiji sat up and told them not to hurt his team. Kaioshiro didn't take his words seriously, knowing Shigeo could barely stand, so he ordered his subordinates to continue. Shigeru couldn't use his full power because he didn't want Shigeo to get involved, but luckily Shigeo tried to pick a fight with the thugs and got slammed straight into the wall. Kaioshiro told them not to damage the merchandise or it would lose value. Hearing that, Seiji got mad. He said that everyone who comes to this world are people crushed by life, and when they get a second chance, people like Kaioshiro just step on them again. Kaioshiro told him to stop preaching and ordered his men to arrest him. At this point, Shigeru decided it was time to join the fight. He jumped straight onto the robbers and crushed them with his body weight instead of using attack stats. He told Sergi to lead the girls away and leave everything to him, but Sergi didn't want to leave him alone in danger. He warned the thugs not to touch them because he could take them down in one hit. But the AI thought he was bluffing. The thugs charged at Seiji, but Shigeru jumped in front to block, bouncing everywhere, absorbing weak punches and smashing them under his massive body. Kaioshiro ordered the guy handling the jumping pig to attack first, and Sergi told him to run, because he would handle the rest. The thugs charged at Shigeru but couldn't hurt him. Then suddenly, one guy poked his finger in Sergi's nose. Suddenly, a blinding light burst from Sergi's hand, as he shouted at them to back off or the light of justice would pierce their guilty hearts. They panicked and asked what skill that was. Sergi explained he once wrote a vow in a special notebook, promising never to betray his friends, and if he did, he'd pay the price. Thanks to that vow, he earned a ton of points and poured them all into this special skill that activates when he gets angry. He said this was their last chance to run, but Kaioshiro declared they'd chop off his hands before he could attack. At that moment, Shigeru decided to see how strong Seiji's skill really was and became his shield. He said they needed to team up because they were being overwhelmed. Sergi then used his special skill to transform into a Super Saiyan form. A form even Goku hasn't unlocked, yelling at the thugs that now it was time to pay for their sins. Kaioshiro and his gang panicked because they'd never seen AI transform like this before. Shigeru was also curious to see what this flashy move Sergi could actually do. Sergi suddenly shouted the name of his next move, his hand glowing even brighter as he charged at Kaioshiro, but stopped just before punching him in the face. Kaioshiro yelled, asking why he stopped, and Sergi said he wasn't the one to judge him, because that's the country's law's job. He knew he could easily take down the thugs now, but he wanted to give them a chance to atone and start a new life. Shigeru knew this was peak stupidity, trying to be a good guy, but he didn't stop Seiji. Suddenly, Kaioshiro said Sergi had won. He dropped his weapon and knelt down begging for punishment, and Sergi naively believed it was real and started to turn away, telling Kaioshiro he wouldn't forgive him if he messed up again. Shigeru didn't warn him this time, even though he knew it was a deadly mistake to turn his back on the enemy. Taking advantage of this, Kaioshiro rushed to attack Seiji, but Shigeru used his rolling skill to trip him. The thugs cursed Shigeru and started kicking him, but their hits didn't cause any damage. Shigeru casually picked his nose, then flicked it at the wall. The bandits cursed Shigeru and started kicking him, but none of their blows caused any harm. Shigeru casually picked his nose and flicked his booger onto the wall. It created a massive explosion while everyone was still stunned watching the wall being destroyed. Shigeru secretly pointed at the glowing hand of Sergi toward the wall so everyone would think Sergi was the one who did it. The problem was even Sergi didn't believe it, so Shigeru decided to take the deception to a whole new level. He said he clearly saw Seiji unleash the ultimate move and a white hawk appeared blowing the wall away. The bandits believed it so hard they fell to their knees, realizing they couldn't beat Kaioshiro, who was crying and sniffling. Swearing never to do evil again, Shigeru knew that still wasn't enough punishment, so he ordered the bandits to line up. They immediately obeyed, and Shigeru told Sergi to use a special move on them. Sergi hesitated because he didn't want to punish those who had already accepted defeat. The bandits were trembling like crazy, thinking that if they got hit they'd probably die. Shigeru offered a lighter solution, telling Sergi to slap those bastards with his fist. Justice, so they know what other people's pain feels like. He persuaded Sergi. He reminded Sergi that only he could reform these bandits with the power of love. Sergi recalled that his glowing fist could pierce through all evil, so if the bandits were still faking, they'd be wiped out by that slap. But if they truly repented, it wouldn't hurt at all. However, contrary to expectations, Sergi returned to normal and said that if he wanted to change the bandits' hearts through love, He couldn't do it in Super Saiyan form, which was powered by anger. The bandits couldn't believe someone could be that dumb, but ironically it worked in their favor. Sergi teared up as he lovingly slapped each one, and the bandits thanked him profusely. Grateful for the chance to start over, Shigeru then tied up all the bandits. Meanwhile, CGC carried the girls to a safe spot, but exhausted Shigeru collapsed. The bandits saw their chance. They began hoping to flip the tables, trying to bribe Shigeru with promises of beautiful girls, even for an ugly guy like him, and money on top of that. But Shigeru decided to show them he was just ugly, not stupid. He snapped their handcuffs to scare them. Then he said Seiji was even stronger than him. The bandits only cursed, their faces twisted in anger, but Shigeru didn't care. Not long after, Kiyoshiro and his lackeys were handed over to the authorities, while Shigeru's group received a massive bounty reward. The girls were super excited to see such a huge sum. Sergi suggested splitting it evenly, but Seika said they all passed out during the fight and didn't deserve any share. Sergi should keep it all since he was the one who defeated the bandits. Then she asked about Shigeru. Sergi said Shigeru was even braver, taking all the attacks to protect him. The girls unanimously said Shigeru was the real MVP of the mission and deserved the biggest share. Sergi agreed, but Shigeru didn't want to take the money because when converted to gen points it was only 1%, so he told Seika he had a habit of spending money as soon as he got it. He wanted to give it to someone trustworthy to hold on to. Sergi wasn't keen on the idea, but when Shigeru insisted on refusing the money, Seika volunteered to keep it safe for him. Sergi thought it wasn't a good idea because she was too naive and impulsive, but Shigeru still handed the money over, seeing it as a way to repay her kindness before leaving the party. Right after, Seika took Seiji out for hamburgers to treat him to a good meal. He thought it might be their last meal together because now he could leave without any regrets. Seika quickly came back with 2 Happy Meals, and Shigeru asked if she really liked hamburgers. She said she had her first burger just 2 days ago and instantly fell in love with them. Shigeru couldn't believe she had never eaten a burger before. Whether in the real world or in SAO, they started eating, and Sayaka asked him about his stats. Shigeru replied they were pretty boring, and she told him he probably hadn't noticed, but the decrease in his beauty stat would give him lots of other points. Shigeru was shocked when Seika also realized this, and asked her if she reduced her own beauty stat. She said she lowered it all the way to -16, and he couldn't believe it because she looked way too beautiful for that number. Seika proudly said she used a special note feature on the welcome screen to wish to become beautiful, and somehow that overrode her low appearance stat. Shigeru felt the biggest shock of his life, realizing he could have done the same to become handsome, but now it was too late. Just then Seika spotted a cat and got super excited. She said she had never seen a cat that close before and started wondering if the cat might come to her on its own. When Shigeru told her to just go ahead and pet it, she shot him a judging look, but she immediately realized his advice made sense and said she forgot she could walk now. She clumsily ran over to the cat. Shigeru noticed her struggle while she tried to pet the cat. He went into the bathroom and started crying. Thinking about Seika's miserable life, he realized that in the real world, she might be suffering from some condition that caused her paralysis since childhood. He looked up and asked, "Is there really no God?" Then suddenly he realized that he himself was the almighty God in this world. Even though he couldn't change reality, he could still help her in other ways. Just then Seika knocked and asked if he needed medicine. Shigeru replied that he was fine. When he washed his face, he realized Seika was awkward with her body and innocent in communication because of her past. That would make her an easy target for bad guys. So he decided to stay by her side and protect her until she became mature enough to take care of herself. Right after they arrived at the inn, and Sergi called a meeting to decide the group's classes. To build a more versatile team, he declared he would be the hero, Seika, the archer. The blonde lowly girl would be the mage, and Shigeru, the legendary warrior. Shigeru didn't like the word legendary added to his class. Suddenly, Seika spoke up saying she also wanted to be a hero. When Shigeru offered that she could be the legendary warrior instead of him, she immediately refused. In the end, Sergi was still the group's only hero, so Seika switched to mage, and the lolly girl chose hunter. Shigeru kept his original class. After buying new gear, Sergi decided to move to the largest city in the region. Before that, he set a budget for snacks because he was used to Seika's spending habits. The meeting ended, but Seika stayed behind to talk to the lolly girl, her first friend here. She was nervous starting a conversation, but Shigeru silently wished her luck. Finally, Seika mustered all her courage to invite the girl to play jump rope. Saying she had already practiced the lolly, girl agreed, and the two girls went to change so they could play together. Meanwhile, Shigeru recalled why things turned out this way in SAO. Earlier, while shopping with Seika, she wanted to buy a weapon that looked cool, but he stopped her saying only legendary warriors could use them. However, she insisted on buying a 2-section staff. Thanks to a surprise collab between Shigeru and the shop owner, she finally changed her mind and chose a jump rope. After leaving the shop, Shigeru taught her how to use it and she learned fast, but her mind quickly wandered to the blonde girl and her wish to make friends. Even though she didn't know the girl's name, Shigeru offered some tips on making friends which led to the current scene. He was secretly watching the two girls playing. The blonde girl quickly learned jump rope from Seka, but when Seka mentioned asking her name, the girl suddenly stopped. Seka realized she really didn't want to share her real name, then she said she had seen Shigeru before, thought he was disgusting, and they had nicknamed her Reese. The blonde girl fell silent upon hearing that and started jumping rope again. This time she jumped really high on the last jump. Everyone around was stunned and quickly gathered, asking her to join their team. Seka tried to approach her but everyone ignored her and one guy even pushed her away. She suddenly burst into tears, and Shigeru had to step in to help. The crowd panicked when they saw him and called him a monster, but the blonde girl Reese told them he was a member of their team. She also worried about Seka, and said she only wanted to cheer her up with a special performance. Shigeru told her that just answering normally was enough to do that. Then Reese started feeling extremely guilty and ran away in tears. In the end, Shigeru had to comfort Seka all the way back to the inn. However, just as she was about to enter her room, she found a letter left by Reese apologizing for what happened before, and thanking her for the nickname Reese. Seka immediately ran outside to find her, but Shigeru had already noticed Reese hiding behind a corner. He called her out. She said she needed to talk to him privately. He joked, "Don't sue me later," then went into the room where Reese rushed in. He bowed his head. "Sorry, Shigeru." Confused, he didn't understand why she apologized to him, but then Reese revealed that she knew his full legal name and knew he was the salesperson Seiji had mentioned before. Shigeru was stunned but tried to stay calm and asked why she thought that. She said she had chosen a special skill that allowed her to read other people's status windows so she could see their real names and stats, and even what they had written in their special notes. Shigeru panicked when he realized she had read the notes he wrote, making him look pathetic as hell. He covered his face and asked Reese what she wanted. She said it was about Seka. Then she asked if Shigeru had guessed that Seka's body was paralyzed in her past life. He confirmed it, and Reese suddenly admitted that she was the one who caused Seka's paralysis in her past life. Now she had come here to atone for her sins. Shigeru curiously asked what exactly she did to Seka. Reese explained that in her past life, she was part of a program aimed at changing human lives. Seka was one of the kids they were supporting, and Reese truly wanted her to have a better life. But one day an explosion happened in the building where they worked. Seka was severely injured. Reese burst into tears, telling how she couldn't stop the accident from happening and couldn't save Seka. She deeply regretted the incident caused by misunderstandings among the program's staff. To prevent such things from happening again, she wrote in her special notes that she wanted to understand others better. Shigeru realized that's why she had the ability to read others' statuses. He asked about the program she was part of, and Reese said it involved artificial intelligence. The story immediately made Shigeru remember that Seiji's company went bankrupt because of a failed AI program caused by an explosion. He asked if Reese was talking about that, and she confirmed. She also revealed that she was actually Seiji's younger sister, but she had completely changed her personality and behavior in this world, so Seiji wouldn't recognize her. Shigeru still doubted her story, but Reese said she couldn't lie. That was the price she paid to gain her special ability. She felt that their arriving in this world at the same time wasn't coincidence, but fate tied from their past lives. She knew Shigeru was trying to make Seka happy and guide Seiji become a better adventurer, and she asked permission to help him with that. Shigeru said both CG and CK were too pure and needed his protection in this world. He agreed to cooperate with Reese, and she suddenly chopped off her hair to show her determination. Shigeru was embarrassed because it looked ridiculous. Reese said Seka told her short hair suited her even if she didn't understand why. They officially made a contract to help those two friends. The next morning they prepared to head to the capital. Shigeru rented a strange hybrid creature between a turtle and a goat to carry their luggage. Reese was the last to arrive and was moved to tears when Seka said she looked very pretty with short hair. They started their journey and soon encountered a pack of monsters. Seka took down one with ice magic, and when another attacked, Seiji protected her while Reese supported from behind. They quickly defeated the monsters, and Seka proudly showed off her mage skills to Shigeru, who could only nod in acknowledgement that she was really good. Then Seiji remarked that it was getting late, so they should find a place to camp, and AI agreed. They were heading toward Valeria City, and since Seka wanted adventure, they chose the mountain climbing route, full of dangerous monsters and no ends. Luckily, they found a large hollow tree to rest overnight. Seka was very excited. When Seiji asked if she wanted to gather firewood or go fishing, she confidently said she'd catch the biggest fish in the river but clumsily hooked her own cloak. Shigeru helped her untangle the fishing rod and took her fishing, but they could only patiently wait for a bite. Suddenly, Seka started saying she was a crybaby and wanted to become more mature and calm. Shigeru told her she didn't actually need to do that because crying isn't a bad thing. He said people don't only cry when they're sad but also when their hearts overflow with uncontrollable emotions. He recalled his past and said humans gradually lost the ability to cry, which stopped them from growing up. He told Seika that instead of learning not to cry, she should learn to understand what made her heart tremble. Seika tearfully felt moved hearing those words. Right then Reese arrived and found out they still hadn't caught any fish. She only shot a few times and caught fish for Seika, who excitedly ran back to camp to give the fish to Seiji. Meanwhile, Reese said, Seika is always cheerful around Shigeru. She believes Shigeru is someone who can easily make others smile, and with him here the team would be safe. Shigeru was a bit flustered hearing that, but then he decided to return to camp. Reason stopped him and asked him not to reveal her true identity to any AI, because that could break up the group. Shigeru agreed to the request. Soon they returned to the campfire area. Seiji and Seika started cooking while the group sat down to eat. Seika unconsciously mimicked some of Reese's gestures. While Shigeru asked Seiji what he thought about the final goal of this journey, Seiji became serious. He replied that for now they don't have a final goal, the immediate target is to reach Valeria and he plans to learn more about this world and its problems to figure out what they need to do. Shigeru was impressed by Seiji's logical thinking, but suddenly heard a noise coming from nearby bushes. A severely injured and exhausted woman stepped out of the forest and collapsed as Shigeru's group saw her. In a dream, the woman recalled being chased by bandits even though she herself was reincarnated into this world. She couldn't fight them off and blamed her special notes from her past life. She used to be unattractive and her boyfriend left her for a prettier girl. People around mocked her and she began to hate beautiful girls. The dream ended abruptly and she woke up in camp. Seiji was taking care of her, saying they had treated her wounds and given first aid. At that moment, Seika brought warm water to help her clean up, but the woman shrank back, hating Seika's pretty appearance. Seiji said it was actually Seika who used magic to heal her, but that didn't change her attitude. She even got more annoyed when Seika tried to talk to her and asked Seiji to bring her closer to the fire. Seika felt sad about that, but Shigeru wanted her to learn not to invade strangers' personal space on the first meeting. Besides, he wanted her to stay away from the one-armed woman because he knew the truth about her. Earlier, when the woman collapsed, Seiji asked Shigeru to fetch water. Shigeru immediately ran toward the river, but Reese stopped him, her expression showing something was wrong. She said that woman was also reincarnated like them and her special notes were dangerous. She wrote that she would never forgive beautiful girls and would kill them mercilessly. Both thought her target was Seika. Back to the present, Seiji was comforting the woman who introduced herself as Ria. He asked if she wanted to eat anything and she happily agreed. But when Seika gave her some food, Ria's hatred began to rise. Ria tried to grab a weapon, but luckily Reiji had confiscated it earlier and kept watch over her. Shigeru also kept his eyes on Ria, ready to stop anything bad from happening. However, neither Seiji nor Seika knew what was going on. Seiji asked how Ria got injured. She said her group was ambushed and she got separated from her friends. Shigeru doubted the truth of her story, but Ria believed her and suggested they protect her until they reached Valeria. Ria happily accepted the offer. However, when Seika said they should trust their team leader, Ria got angry and hurt her injured arm. Seiji told her to calm down, but Ria said she needed to go to the river and asked Seika to take her. Seiji said he would go instead, but Ria insisted she really wanted to bathe, and if he insisted on following, then he was clearly a perv. Seiji was utterly confused, and JK innocently asked if he was a pervert. The innocent question dealt a heavy blow to Seiji's pride and he collapsed as Shigeru stepped forward. To comfort him, Ria told Shigeru that if he came within 3 meters of her she would scream. He replied that he didn't want to get close to her anyway. Suddenly, Reese appeared and offered to take Ria to the river, but because she couldn't lie, he replied that he didn't want to get close to her either. Suddenly, Ray appeared and offered to take Ria to the river, but since she couldn't lie, her true expression couldn't be hidden. Shigeru just hoped she could at least hide her murderous intent. Because of that, Ria was scared and insisted that Seika take her away. Seika saw no problem with that. She even returned Ria's weapon to her in case monsters attacked. Shigeru panicked, because that only made things more dangerous for Seika. Reese went along to protect Seika. Shigeru also wanted to follow, but Sergi stopped him. Sergi said he should respect a woman's privacy. Shigeru replied that Ria was very dangerous, but Sergi misunderstood. He said the allure of a mature woman is truly dangerous. Shigeru didn't want to hear that cheesy nonsense, but he couldn't leave without raising suspicion, so he started moving back and forth between 2 spots at lightning speed to keep an eye on Seika. Seiji was amazed to see him blur like a mirage, but Shigeru said Seiji was probably just tired and seeing things. He told Seiji to rest and cast a sleep spell, making Seiji quickly fall asleep. He rushed to the riverbank and saw Ria pointing her sword at Seika. Seika was shocked and asked if she had done something to upset Ria. Ria said Seika hadn't done anything wrong, she was even a good girl, but she couldn't fight what was written in the special notebook. She confessed that she had sworn to kill all beautiful girls because they ruined her life on Earth. So when she came to this world, she was determined to get revenge. She joined many different adventure groups, killed beautiful girls, then escaped to the next group. But eventually they caught up to her. She said today was Seika's turn to die. But just as she was about to strike, Reese shot the sword out of her hand. Reese pushed Ria back, and when she tried to grab her weapon, Shigeru appeared and grabbed her hand. She demanded he let go, but he drew his sword and said this time she couldn't escape. At that moment, a dazzling light covered everyone. No one understood what was happening. When they looked toward the light, they saw it came from Sergi, who had transformed into a true angel. Shigeru was stunned, realizing there was now another one in their group who could transform. Seika began to float toward Ria. She said Ria didn't have to suffer anymore. Ria approached, threatening her to stay away, or else she'd die. But suddenly, Ria's severed arm throbbed with intense pain, making her collapse to the ground. Seika asked if she really wanted to hurt others, and Ria said she didn't, but she couldn't resist what was written in the special notebook. Shigeru also felt sorry for this poor girl controlled by the notebook, but Seika believed there must be a way to change everything. She slowly approached Ria but was shoved away. At that moment, Seika prayed for Ria to stop hurting. Suddenly, a burst of light poured from her hands, and Ria's lost arm instantly regrew. Ria was so moved she burst into tears. Seeing her arm restored, Shigeru was stunned because even as an absolute god, he couldn't perform such a miracle. Seika revealed that she had once written in her notebook that if her friends were hurting, she wanted to become an angel to heal and restore what they lost. Ria cried out, realizing Seika truly considered her a friend. Then Seika started telling the story of her past life, that she once had a terrible scar on her face, even lost an eye. She didn't want anyone else to suffer like she did. She believed she couldn't heal the emotional wounds Ria carried, but said they could find a way to heal together. However, Ria pushed her away, called her ugly, then suddenly found a way to heal herself. She said Seika's crying face was ugly, so Seika was no longer her target. After saying that, Ria ran off, leaving Seika standing there hurt and confused. Reese decided to chase after Ria to see what she was planning. Seika suddenly returned to her normal form and collapsed, but luckily, Shigeru rushed to catch her. Meanwhile, Ria went to a secluded place, carved some words into a tree trunk, then raised her sword to her face. But Shigeru appeared just in time and knocked the sword from her hand because Reese had warned him that she intended to blind herself so the special notebook would lose its power. Ria asked if he came to kill her, but Shigeru answered that he'd never do such nonsense. He said if she hurt her eyes, Seika would be very sad, but he also understood her reason. So he proposed a deal that she would only lose her sight without damaging her eyes. Ria wondered how that would work. Shigeru immediately showed her the ultimate dark technique called the 5 Seals of the Underworld. The name sounds just like those Chinese period dramas. This skill can seal one of the 5 senses, but at the same time makes the user stronger. She asked him, "What the hell is this that holds such terrifying magic?" And Shigeru just replied that he's a broke guy. He told her this is the best thing he could offer, because it will blind her without damaging her eyes. He also added that the spell lasts until it's broken by extremely strong light magic, so it won't be easy to break. Ria asked why he'd help so much just for Seika, guessing the obvious reason because she's beautiful. Shigeru insisted he's not that shallow and revealed he once made a mistake with a notebook too. Especially, he said at first he couldn't trust AI or even teammates, but Seika treated him kindly, despite his ugly appearance, so he just wanted to repay that kindness. Ria replied that being in a team full of love and kindness must be great, and Seika invited her to join because Seika would definitely accept after hearing her situation. Ria refused, saying she caused too many sins herself, and now wants to carve her own path. However, she agreed to the deal of being blinded, and Seika quickly cast the skill on her. Seika then returned to where Seika was just waking up. He told her that her power had reborn Ria's arm, making her happy, thinking she could help a lot of people. But Shigeru said they should keep this power a secret because it's too precious. Seika didn't understand why, so he explained that in stories, valuable things always get stolen by villains, and her power is just like that. Seika felt a bit sad, hearing that. Then Shigeru teased her by saying Ria wanted to kill her just because she's beautiful. He advised her to protect herself from such evil people. Seika then asked what she should do, and he told her not to distrust everyone, just pay attention to their actions to tell if AI is friend or foe. Excited by this, Seika listened as Shigeru added that if she ever faces a dangerous enemy, even if careful, just shout his name loudly, and he'll come to rescue her immediately. He also said it's okay if she loses 7 times and wins twice, because he'll always have her back. Seika got emotional hearing this, then she reached out to hold his hand to seal their promise. And even knowing the huge damage coming, Shigeru still took her hand. He felt sharp pain running through his body but endured it to not crush her small hand. The next day, Shigeru told Seika that Ria had left since last night, and left a message for Seika. Before leaving, he took the group to the tree where Ria had carved her message. In it, she thanked Seika for healing both her physical and emotional wounds, promising to help her if they meet again. Seika got teary reading that while Seiji felt they should at least see Ria off. But Shigeru said Ria smiled when she left, and wanted to find her own path. Then the group continued their journey to Valeria City. Sergi and Seika excitedly talked about stepping foot into a new place. Reese recalled the conversation last night with Shigeru, who told her he took Ria's sight so she wouldn't attack other girls anymore. This surprised Reese, but what shocked her even more was Seika's transformation, because in Seika's special notebook there was no record of this at all, while Seiji's notebook described the transformation in detailed, even embarrassing detail. Just remembering it made Reese feel mortified. However, Shigeru said he needed a complete record because he wanted to find if Sergi had any weaknesses that could become a safeguard in the future. Reese was stunned by this request, but eventually agreed. Shigeru told her to take it easy because he only needed those weaknesses before Sergi made a decision on their journey's goal. He reminded Seiji of the time C said he wanted to travel the world on his own before deciding on his goal, and Shigeru thought he had an idea for the best goal. He believed Seiji should become king because according to the trickster, Kayashiro, who once told him, even people from other worlds can become kings here. He said Sika is an innocent girl who knows nothing about the real world. As for Seiji, he had already seen the dark side of the world, but still kept a pure heart. He believes that if Seiki rules a kingdom, it would bring great benefits to pure souls like Seika. Reese responded that Shigeru could do that too, but he gave a bitter laugh. He said with his declining money-making speed, their country would definitely become dirt poor, and he himself lacked leadership qualities. On the other hand, Seiji had a certain aura that naturally made others want to follow him and could lead well in any situation. Back to the present. Shigeru and Reese were now a team with their own goals separate from the other two. First, they wanted Sergi and Seika to level up as fast as possible, which wasn't hard, since a horde of giant monsters was right ahead. Sergi told everyone they would break through the monster encirclement to reach the city gate, but as he started running, he suddenly stopped, saying he needed to tie his shoelaces even though his shoes looked totally messed up. For several unbelievable seconds, Seika trusted him and ran ahead. Shigeru immediately followed, creating a wind wall to protect Seika from crashing into the monsters. Then he turned around and saw Seiji screaming like Goku, transforming into Super Saiyan angel form. Shigeru sighed, thinking that the shoelace stunt was totally unnecessary, but then he remembered that every time Sergi transformed, his clothes would tear and those weren't cheap. Luckily, Sergi remembered this too, so he neatly folded his expensive outfit aside before starting his full transformation scream. Meanwhile, Shigeru came up with a plan to help Seika level up. He quickly found some ruins to use as shelter, but the monsters started climbing the walls. Reese suggested knocking them down, and Seika followed Shigeru's lead, chanting a high-level divine blessing. This boosted their stats so the group wouldn't have trouble, and Shigeru decided to prolong the fight without killing any monsters. So he created mud golems to safely engage the monsters, then turned to check what Sergi was doing and was surprised to see him still screaming. Sergi needed anger to transform, but right now he had no reason to be mad. Suddenly, he recalled a trainee stepping on his shoe and immediately channeled all that rage to transform without tearing his clothes. Then he ran down the hill so fast that Shigeru asked, "Why run when you have wings?" Sergi climbed the ruins where the teammates were fighting, and Reese instantly got goosebumps annoyed by his ridiculous act. Sergi introduced himself as Andon, a wandering adventurer, then jumped down to slaughter the monsters with his special powers. Seika was super impressed by him while Reese struggled to hold back nausea, witnessing that nonsense. Meanwhile, Sergi kept fighting the smaller monsters, but when facing a giant stone golem, he deactivated his powers to save some fame for later by flying and using other moves. Using that tactic, he wiped out all the monsters, then disappeared, returning to his normal form. Seika didn't suspect that Sergi was actually Andon and told him about this badass hero. Hearing that, Sergi got super hyped and wanted praise from others. At that moment, Shigeru began doubting whether he should make such a narcissist king. Soon they reached Valeria City. The city square buzzed with joy, and at its center was a large castle. But what surprised them was a job center right next to the castle, and Shigeru felt deep sympathy for the capitalist slaves lingering around it. Then they returned the luggage beast to its pen, but the keeper told Seiji they couldn't bring another creature along. Normally, Shigeru could tolerate many things, but being called an animal made even him angry, terrifying the guy with just a furious glare. At that moment, Seika spotted a creature that looked exactly like Shigeru, and even he was shocked. But Seika found it cute though. Honestly, she thought everything was cute, so no surprises there. But what surprised them was a job center right next to the castle, and Shigeru felt a deep sympathy for the capitalist slaves loitering around it. Then they returned the luggage-carrying creature back to its pen, but the caretaker told Seiji they couldn't take the creature along. Normally, Shigeru could tolerate a lot, But being called an animal made even him angry, terrifying the caretaker with just one furious look. At that moment, Sika discovered an animal that looked exactly like Shigeru, and even he was shocked. But Seka found it cute actually. She found everything cute, so it wasn't a big deal. Then the group started exploring the city, but Sika kept getting distracted by small things around her. Shigeru thought that although this place seemed peaceful and cheerful, there were still countless problems for outsiders like them. The biggest issue was that monsters didn't drop money when killed, and they needed to find a steady source of income to survive. Shigeru considered using his powers in some capacity, but then thought such a half-assed method would spoil the naive ones in the group and he needed a smarter way. That night they stayed at an inn and Sergi told Shigeru he had asked around the city and found out that to earn money, they needed to find a job. Shigeru hearing this was shocked because even in another world, people had to sell themselves to capitalism. But Sergi added that 2000 rush a month was considered a decent salary here. Shigeru asked if there were any rewards for killing monsters like yesterday and Sergi replied that unless they took on a monster hunting mission, they wouldn't earn a single coin. At that moment, Shigeru remembered that the job center also had some well-paid jobs, like an assistant detective position, with a 100000 rush monthly salary or a garbage collector job paying up to 280000 rush a month. He told Sergi, those jobs seemed sketchy because they didn't require experience or skills. He could easily imagine Seika getting tricked by those kinds of jobs and he hoped to stop her. Sergi agreed, saying decent jobs only offer a normal life, while high-paying ones either involve crime or demand too much experience. Suddenly, he had an idea and asked Shigeru what he thought about going to a casino. Shigeru was shocked because even their hero was interested in gambling, but Sergi explained he just wanted to gather more info. He said at the market, you only meet ordinary people, earning ordinary money, but at the casino, there must be special workers or big earners. He insisted that information was the best currency for them, and he planned to use it to create the best path for the group to live without worries. Shigeru found that plan reasonable, and the next night the whole group went to a grand casino. Immediately, Seika tried her luck with a game while Shigeru was served a drink refill by a waitress, but the moment she saw his appearance, she was disgusted. Other casino guests weren't much better. Shigeru didn't care much. Luckily, Seika won the first round and was super excited. Meanwhile, Sergi chatted with people to gather info, and Reese used his own methods to collect information. Meanwhile, Sika decided to go all in on the next round and lost all the money she had just won. She played a bit more, then got hungry, and took a break to eat a burger. Shigeru asked how much she had spent and Seika casually said about 200000 rush. Enough to make Shigeru worry so much he felt like pulling his hair out. Just then the casino manager approached Sika, saying he had noticed her playstyle for a while and was curious about her financial situation. Seika confidently said she was very rich, freaking Shigeru out, because he wanted to stop her from saying that. On the contrary, the manager was delighted and started flattering her. He asked if she could come to his private office for a chat. Sika only agreed after Shigeru was allowed to come along as her bodyguard. Once inside, a servant brought hot coffee for Seika while Shigeru observed around, thinking this casino must be raking in serious money. Suddenly, Jock glanced at Seika and said he was really impressed by her boldness, and she gambled without hesitation. He said, the rich gotta gamble like that. Sika blushed at his flirtatious tone. Then he said he was so impressed that he had a special offer for her. He pulled out a gold card called an extra stage ticket, which would make her a VIP guest granting access to more thrilling games than regular customers. He said normally the entry and membership fees cost 2000 rush, but for her he would make an exception, reducing the cost to zero. Sika was tempted by the offer, but said she still had to pay the membership fee next year. Shigeru felt proud because she finally started doubting shady stuff. Dropping to zero, Seika was tempted by the offer but said she still had to pay the membership fee next year. Shigeru felt proud because she finally started doubting shady things. But the boss was a slick talker and didn't stop. He said her membership fee would be waived for life, because he really wanted her to become a VIP. Sika asked what was so special about her, and he replied that he was truly impressed by her gambling style, and wanted to see more of it. Sika wavered again and asked Shigeru what to do. He thought getting a membership card wouldn't hurt but suggested she discuss it with Seiji. Moved by her gambling style and wanting to see her play more, Seika hesitated and turned to ask Shigeru what to do. He thought getting a membership card wouldn't hurt but still suggested she negotiate with Seiji. Sika found this idea reasonable, and the boss said she could talk to his friend, and if he was rich too he'd want to meet Seika. He blurted out that Seiji was rich but not as rich as her, which made Shigeru worried for her future. After a while, they left the room. Sika commented that the manager was really kind. Just then, Reese came over with a worried face. While Sika went to find Seiji, Shigeru stayed to hear Rise's bad news about the manager. She said he was also a reincarnator like them, and in his special book it said he wouldn't be fooled again and would destroy all those rich people. He swore he'd drain them dry and push them straight to hell. Rise wasn't sure if even Shigeru could beat him in his games. Not long after, the group returned to the inn, and Seka told everyone everything about the manager. They all agreed he seemed very suspicious, which made her disappointed when she heard that. Sergi asked Shigeru's opinion about the manager, and he replied that the guy was very skilled at making others believe they were special, and then scamming them. He said luckily Seka hadn't fallen for it yet, but definitely many others had. After that, Sergi decided to share his report. He said he had talked to many people who had taken high-paying jobs from the employment center. Surprisingly, all those jobs led them to the casino, and no one passed the test except a guy named Kai's friend who became a detective's assistant. His job was to find those crazy people blowing money in the casino. The story got more worrying when CGC revealed that Kai's friend had been missing for a while, and when he went to his house to ask, the house had disappeared and the land was sold. The person's registration records vanished too, and the police wouldn't even accept a missing person report as if that person never existed. Shigeru was almost sure the manager was behind this. He noticed Rise looked worried like she was hiding something, so he signaled that he would back her up no matter what she said. Rise breathed a sigh of relief, then gave Seiji an item she found near the casino's back gate. Both Seiji and Shigeru were horrified when they opened the cloth and saw a human finger. Somehow, they managed to stop Seka from seeing that gruesome sight. Rise explained that when she went around the back door, she saw a guy carrying something on his back, and the finger fell out of the package. She only realized what it was when she got closer, and for a moment, she hesitated whether to pick up the finger or chase that guy. Sergi said she made the right choice, because following him alone was very dangerous. Now, he was sure the casino was involved in some shady business, and said they needed to investigate immediately. Sika volunteered to be an insider because the manager had his eye on her. Both Rise and Shigeru warned that it was very dangerous since rich people like her were the real targets, but she replied that she was furious. The manager betrayed and harmed others. She said he had to be stopped at all costs, and Shigeru turned to Sergi to tell him to stop her, but Sergi was even more fired up, driving both him and Rise crazy. Then the two of them went outside to talk, and Shigeru asked Rise about the manager's skills because earlier she said even gods couldn't beat him. She answered that she didn't see everything, but one of his skills was seeing through every lie, and that skill probably activated other abilities. However, his status window was extremely weird looking, like it had been cut and pasted badly many times. She warned him to be careful, and Shigeru realized it was best not to lie in front of the manager, even jokingly. Then he put a jacket on Rise and said everything would be fine. He said they had only gone out to make some money but accidentally ran into a villain and now they had to stop him. Rise nodded and added one more detail to Shigeru from her notes. She once wrote that if evil truly appeared before her, she would become Hell's messenger and drag them into darkness. Shigeru was stunned when he saw her transform the next night. Sika dressed glamorously and walked like a model on her way to the casino. She spoke to Shigeru that she needed to act to uncover the truth about the manager. She believed she would succeed because Shigeru and Rise had trained her how to hide the truth without lying. Soon they arrived at the casino, and the manager appeared to greet them. He asked Seka if she had an answer to his previous offer, and she replied that if he could show her a game interesting enough, he would join as a member. He was delighted to hear that and told her to follow. Along with his ugly subordinate, Shigeru thought to let him act arrogant before his crimes were exposed. The manager led Seka and Shigeru down to the underground VIP area. Shigeru knew the manager could detect lies, so the best way to fight him was to reveal as little information as possible. Up to now, they only gave him Seka's name to print on the VIP card, and Shigeru began to wonder what they were plotting. At that moment, the manager asked Seka how much she planned to spend today, hinting she might gamble millions of ratus. Seka asked if he was underestimating her, making the manager's face suddenly darken. He then led them into the VIP zone, and the atmosphere here was completely different from the usual casino. Seka really liked that vibe. The manager introduced an employee who would show them around. His name was Kato, who nervously fumbled while explaining how everything worked here. Shigeru thought, Kato must be new. He couldn't observe him closely for long. The manager approached him and asked if he wanted to gamble. Shigeru immediately realized he was trying to extract information from him since Seka hadn't revealed anything yet. He answered that he couldn't play because he had no money, and that was completely true. Shigeru then activated his dynamic vision skill, allowing him to talk with the manager while observing the entire room. He discovered a spy taking notes, detailing everyone like Seka, a flashy heiress, with a budget over 1,000,000 ratus. Suddenly, the manager asked Shigeru if he was strong, and he answered yes. The manager then asked if he was above level 70, And Shigeru gave a vague answer hiding his level but without lying. Then the manager asked about his stats. Shigeru said he had distributed his skill points pretty randomly and many stats had zeros. Like magic defense. That answer wasn't wrong, since in 1 trillion there are lots of zeros. But the spy misunderstood and wrote that Shigeru had allocated points poorly focusing on warrior stats, and that his weakness was magic defense, something they could exploit to crush him. Then an employee came calling the manager because a customer needed his help. He turned and asked Seka if she wanted to see something interesting like a battle monster. She said she would think about it. The manager left, and Kato took charge of her, still fumbling, as if it was his first day on the job. Right after the manager led that customer away, and Shigeru was shocked to see a fat, ugly guy just like his previous life boss. He could only pray that it wasn't the same person. Then his eyes stopped on the manager's notebook, where a liberation plan was written. Meanwhile, Seka was acting spoiled, threatening Kato to take her to the most fun game. Shigeru was glad she understood her role to bother and buy time, staying here as long as possible without spending too much money. Meanwhile, he faked a stomachache and asked Kato where the bathroom was. Kato intended to take him, but Seka stopped him, saying he should pay more attention to customers, seizing the chance. Shigeru quietly acted freely inside the casino. First he drained all energy from a guard to knock him out, then used a transformation skill to turn into a crow. He flew to find the manager and saw him entering a secret room. He quickly followed and opened a gate connecting to the room where Seka was, so if she needed help, he could arrive immediately. Seeing she was fine, Shigeru turned his attention to a strange statue across the room. The manager stepped in front of the statue and started talking to his parents, saying everything was progressing according to plan. He recalled his parents had taught him that there are things more important than money in life. They were never rich, but always taught him to live honestly. Yet that honesty cost them their lives when they refused to leave their house, to let a big corporation build a project on that land. The result was the corporation, Kia, drove a truck straight into their house, killing both of them. The manager completely changed after that incident. He became an assassin, dedicating his life to hunting down the bastards responsible for his parents' death. After completing his life mission, he decided to end his own life, but right then, got a chance to come to this world and felt that his parents had sent him this opportunity here. He saw the rich trampling the poor and set a mission for himself to bring them pain and liberate them from worldly desires. He prayed to his parents to keep watching, and Shigeru realized he had no reason to live except to take revenge on the wealthy. At that moment, Kato and another staff member arrived to report that Seka was furious and wanted to leave because this place was boring. The manager sneered, saying she was probably scared of the high exchange rates, and told them to use strategy number 13 to lure both back. The manager stopped the second person, detecting a lie in the answer. His skill activated, draining the other guy's life force and turning him into a dry corpse. The manager then called his subordinates to deal with the trash. Then he asked Kato if he understood what to do. Kato nervously replied that strategy number 13 meant making Seka addicted to the casino today. The manager praised that he liked honest people like that. Kato left worried, but thanks to that Shigeru understood more about the manager's power. Still, when back with Seka, who kept winning thanks to the manager's arranged strategy, Shigeru couldn't focus, haunted by the scene of someone dying right before his eyes. Suddenly, Seka reminded him to pay attention since she'd won 6 rounds straight. Shigeru asked how much she'd won. Seka replied 200,000,000 ratus. Kato and the dealer started to worry, as Seka bet all her winnings on the next round. Kato told her she didn't have to go all in every time, but Seka said it was just her playstyle, unaware the casino was purposely letting her win to get her addicted. But Kato couldn't risk the casino going bankrupt, so he immediately left to warn the manager. Meanwhile, Shigeru drifted into thoughts. The rule was he only got a tiny fraction of real income, which didn't apply to casino chips, because it wasn't real money. Just then the manager came to congratulate Seka on her winning streak. Shigeru noticed Kato's face was swollen. The manager said a talented gambler like Seka should try an even better game. Curious, Seka was told the manager would take her to an arena even more exclusive than the VIP area. She decided to follow him. The group went down to a deeper level and entered an underground arena, where countless magical beasts were imprisoned. The manager said beast battles were the pinnacle game at this casino. She could bet money on the beasts to fight to the death for her. Seka felt anxious hearing the description. The roar of a monster scared her, but the manager reassured her. Shigeru asked where the manager got the beast, since he'd never seen one in the wild. The manager said these were special beasts created inside the casino, leaving Shigeru stunned. The manager asked Seka if she was interested, but she was pretty worried, and Shigeru decided it was time to leave. He suggested mentioning Seiji, saying he'd probably love to see those beasts. Seka got the hint and told the manager she wanted to go back to tell Seiji about the exciting game here. The manager didn't stop her and told Kato to escort her out via the elevator. Seka noticed the swelling on Kato's cheek and used healing magic on him. He was surprised by her kindness. Kato switched sides, telling Seika to run and never come back because the manager was targeting her life. He admitted many rich people and even colleagues had died at the manager's hands, and even he lived in fear of death. Shigeru invited him to come along, but Kato couldn't escape. Because the manager had all his info, he begged them to leave and spread the truth about the casino so that one day, a hero would come to destroy this place. His wish was immediately answered when Sergi, the hero, and Andon appeared with Reese. Seika was shocked to see them together, while Reese awkwardly explained that they met while trying to infiltrate the building. Kato wept seeing the real hero had arrived. Sergi comforted him, then decided to solo the casino manager. Shigeru volunteered to go with him and Sergi folded his wings to fit in the elevator. Kato also followed, telling them about the manager's skill of draining life and punishing liars. When they reached the VIP floor, Kato shouted for customers to run because the basement monsters had escaped. Panic broke out as monsters might attack customers and staff were clueless on how to handle it. Kato led Sergi and Shigeru down to the basement, but another staff member took the only elevator ahead to alert the manager. Kato panicked since there was no other way down. Just then, Seika appeared in angelic form. Sergi was stunned to see her as he had never seen this form before. He quickly asked who she really was. Seika asked Shigeru to keep her identity a secret. Then she introduced herself as El Caron, the Sun Priestess, saying she could use magic to heal. Sergi was thrilled to have another ally, and Shigeru thought the two of them were definitely on the same wavelength. But it wasn't just the two cosplayers, there were three because right after Reese appeared in her demon form. Shigeru took a moment to recognize her true identity. When he tried to confirm, Reese struck him with a weapon she conjured from nothing, not wanting her brother to know who she really was. Sergi was more interested in the weapon. Reese explained she had the ability to create weapons from her imagination. That alone impressed Seika and Sergi, and Reese happily gifted weapons to everyone. Just then, the elevator returned, and the group stepped inside. Kato wanted to follow, but Sergi told him to evacuate. Shigeru was more tactful, and told Kato to gather 10 pieces of evidence of the casino's crimes, to expose the connection between the casino and the corrupt officials, allowing it to thrive. Kato accepted the mission. Meanwhile, Shigeru's group headed straight down to the basement. Shigeru warned everyone to be careful and told the manager would handle things. He knew the manager was pure evil and absolutely irredeemable, so he didn't want innocent people like Seiji or Seika to face him directly. When they reached the basement, they found the manager had drained the life from the man. That's it for this episode.